The Porsche 911 GT2 RS. A £230,000 riot of wings, vents, holes and stripes. But before you dismiss it as just a 911 that's been driven through Halfords with a magnet strapped to it, trust me, this is one of the most exciting cars of the decade.
That's 700 horsepower from those twin turbos. 0 to 60, 2.7 seconds, and top speed of 211. 150, 160, 170. That's insane. Just sucks up the world and punches you out the other side. Wow. Looks like a 911. Goes like a hypercar. And do you know the really crazy thing about this car? It's limited to 11, but if it was left unlimited, it would do 223 miles an hour. And the only reason it doesn't is that Porsche would have had to develop an entirely new tyre to handle the speed.
Even as it is though, don't worry. The Gt2 RS still gives its tyres plenty to think about.
Not many cars can do this. Watch this. Into hammerhead, bit of a tweak one way, bit of a tweak the other. Get it going in second, grab third, wait for it, grab fourth, and it's still sliding. Whoa! I've never driven a car that can do that before. This is a feral, deranged banshee of a car. This is a new level of hooliganry. Now, Porsche has made GT2s before, but they were always a bit of an afterthought. Take a 911 turbo, remove the front drive shafts, add some silly wings, hope for the best. But this one, this is properly engineered.
Allow me to explain. To save weight, the front wings, bonnet, roof and rear spoiler are all made of carbon fibre. The wheels are magnesium, the brakes carbon ceramic. While underneath the bodywork, the engine features new pistons, intercoolers, a new intake and a titanium exhaust. And the result of this forensic overhaul is the fastest production car ever to lap the Nürburgring.
Oh, yes! Porsche, yes! I'd like to say it's a racing car for the road. I don't think I've ever driven a racing car that accelerates like this. Listen to those gear changes. This is the best paddle shift gearbox I've ever driven, and I'm using the lever in the middle. Makes me feel like a 90s touring car racer.
And spare a thought for the traction control, because in a road car this track-focused, make no mistake, it is a lifesaver.
I mean, these buttons, when you turn everything off, you've got to be really, really careful. They called the old GT2 RS the Widowmaker, but this new one is faster and scarier. So what does that make it? The Grim Reaper?
According to Porsche, turbo doesn't mean turbo anymore. It now just means really fast. So the question for the Taycan Turbo S is, just how really fast is it?
Right, Mr. Electric Porsche, launch control. So I go Sport Plus, maximum response, left foot on the brake, right foot on the throttle, and here we go.
Oh my Lord! That's fast. It's just done 90 and 100 miles an hour. 120, 105. Allow me
to be a little bit speechless. It's relentless. This thing will go from a standing start to the speed limit on a motorway in about 3 seconds. If that's not fast enough for you, go and take up base jumping or something. Wow.
And while most electric cars, after that sort of launch, have to go and cool down for a bit before having another go, with its higher voltage and clever motors, the Taycan can do the big acceleration thing again.
Wow!
And again.
That's 120 miles an hour. Jeepers!
And again.
Oh. It hurts my kidneys.
Better still, Porsche has pulled every engineering trick in the book to make sure the Taycan is also like no other electric car through the corners.
It's got rear wheel steering, it's got torque vectoring, it's got electromechanical roll stabilisation. The upshot is, he goes like a Porsche around a track. Wow! This thing weighs 2.4 tons. That's more than a Range Rover. It has no right to drive like this, to accelerate, stop, and change direction the way it does. We just did a smoker. We just did a smoker in a Porsche. I've never done that in an electric car before. Wow. Okay, you got my attention now, Porsche. You got my attention. This has not been done before.
Make no mistake, in this brave new world of electric cars, the Taycan is properly groundbreaking.
It's sliding. Oh!
It isn't just an incredible achievement,
The work that must have got in.
nor is it just the best engineered, best driving electric car ever made.
Woo-hoo-hoo! I love it!
No. The Taycan is also absolute proof that our electric future won't just be fast, it'll be seriously exciting.
Electric skids. I've got a new favourite sport.
Here it is. It still looks like a Cayman, but one that's been drawn with sharper pencils. It still has the engine in the middle, power at the rear, and it still costs about £50,000.
It's the same story inside, where, thankfully, Porsche hasn't messed with all the things we liked about the old car. I've still got 3 pedals in this lovely wiggly wand-like thing to change gear. But if you delve deeper, you'll find a million teeny tiny upgrades.
For starters, the Cayman's big brother, the 911, has given up its steering and brakes.
The lower rear suspension arms are from the last generation Cayman GT4. The anti-roll bars are larger diameter all around. The front springs are now variable rate. The rear tyres, well, they are 12 millimetres wider.
Much of which is not interesting. What is interesting is more horsepower. The Cayman S now has 345 of them.
This car will do 0 to 60 miles an hour in a sneeze over 4 seconds. And it won't stop accelerating until you hit 177 miles an hour. Braking!
And that extra horsepower also means something else.
If there was a fault with the old Cayman, it's that it didn't have quite enough power to explore the limits of that lovely mid-engine chassis. This new one, however... Oh, yes! yes, yes. It'll do that all day long.
The trouble is, I'm not enjoying this as much as I should do.
Allow me to explain. That there is the old Cayman S. Six-cylinder, normally aspirated engine, and it sounds like, well, judge for yourself. That is engine sound perfection. If you ask Daft Punk to create intake noise, it'd sound like that. But for this new Cayman, Porsche ditched the lovely old six-cylinder engine for a new turbocharged four-cylinder engine, and it sounds like an old Beetle.
This is a big deal. Because I'm sorry, but the way a sports car sounds is a huge part of its personality.
It's the same as humans. Voices matter. I mean, take, say, Rod Stewart and put him on mute, and he's just a Scottish bloke with ladies' hair.